Okay, I think we will get underway. I see Niamh is there, ready and waiting.
I hope.
The girl Niamh. Okay, listen, thank you everybody most sincerely for joining us this afternoon. I think this is our first 2024 Rural Voices seminar series, so it's great to have everybody to join us, and yeah, really interesting, I suppose, year ahead. And again, you know, as always, sincere thanks to Shane and to Louise and to the Galway team who assist as always in helping out with the Rural Voices seminar series. We do this as always in conjunction with the Department of Rural and Community Development, and really, I suppose, more than anything else, it really provides a platform for, I suppose, not just research that's going on, but also some very good practices that are also going on around the country and indeed internationally. And we have a great following at this stage, nationally and internationally. So thank you all for joining us again today on our 18th session of Rural Voices, which is excellent for us. And we're going to feature, in some ways, we're going to call her one of our own, because Niamh Nolan has only just after leaving us, really, she was a researcher here with us for a good while, before she was actually the manager of the project she's going to talk about today. And Niamh was a researcher with us over the last year here in Galway, and she's now gone on to better and brighter days and bigger and better things with the CAP network, the new CAP network that has been set up. So yeah, great to have Niamh involved in that, and great to have her connected with us still here in Galway. So Niamh was the manager of the Farm4Safety EIP-AGRI Project. So the EIP-AGRI idea of European Innovation Partnerships in Agriculture. And Niamh took on the wonderful task of managing one of those projects going back a year or so ago. And she's going to tell us about that today. And she's going to bring on as well with her John Murphy, who was one of the people involved in that project as well. So Niamh, I'm going to hand it over to you, and I'm going to let you tell us all about the project.
Perfect, Maura. Thanks very much. And thanks, Shane, as well. I'll just start sharing. Is that sharing? Yeah, everyone can see that.
Yes, Niamh, we have it. Perfect.
Yep. That's great. Thanks very much. I just want to say thanks to the Galway Rural Voices team for having me on the opportunity to present to you all today this afternoon. So good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I suppose Maura gave me a great background there. It's great to be still connected with you all. So I'm currently working on the CAP Network Ireland, and I previously managed Farmers4Safety Managing Risk Together EIP-AGRI Project. So just to give you an overview of my presentation today, which will give you a background of, you know, to EIP-AGRI. What is EIP-AGRI for any of you that may not be familiar with the concept, along with, I suppose, the background to Farmers4Safety and what the whole background of that is, looking at the aim of the project then, and looking at how we actually carried out the work on the ground, lessons learned from it, our achievements to date, and then the summary of the findings, and then looking at the findings and outcomes of the project and the impact it may have, the impact or influence or inform it may have on other projects going forward. So first off, I suppose, what is EIP-AGRI? What's the concept about? So the economy of the EU requires innovation to become smarter, more sustainable, and more inclusive. Along with the Europe 2020 strategy, the EU launched an innovation union. So this innovation union aims to improve the quality of life for people, create better employment opportunities, and a more competitive economy. So adopted a new approach towards innovation, now known as European Innovation Partnerships. So there's different types of EIPs, such as EIP Water, EIP on Healthy Ageing and Smart Cities, and then obviously EIP-AGRI as well. So looking at EIP-AGRI, so the European Innovation Partnerships on Agriculture Productivity and Sustainability was launched by the European Commission in 2012. It aims to adopt a competitive and sustainable agriculture and forestry sector that achieves more and better from less. It utilises this interactive approach to speed up innovation by mobilising these innovative actors, such as your farmers, your advisors, your researchers. It really builds a bridge between research and practice by speeding up this innovation, pooling of expertise and resources by bringing everyone together. So here we see the Irish EIP-AGRI operational groups breakdown. So the different themes, the two themes is one is the Hen Harrier project, the Pearl Mussel project. You may be familiar with these. And then looking at the open call for the environment, general then the peatlands, and then the locally led farm and community biodiversity. And then the one which we are under then, I suppose, is the farm health, safety and wellbeing. So looking at, I suppose, our project, there was 8 successful farm safety, health and wellbeing EIP-AGRI projects. across the country, and they all come with diverse kind of approaches in addressing farm safety, health and wellbeing. So we see farm safety, health and wellbeing being addressed through theatre, and then there's a support service as well for any of those who've been impacted or by a bereavement or farm fatality. So Embrace Farm is a crucial really service to farming community and supporting them through this hard time. And then obviously of ourselves in Farmers4Safety, which is adopting this mentor approach. So we were one of the 8 successful Irish EIP-AGRI operational groups investigating farmers, farm families, attitudes and behaviours towards farm safety, health and wellbeing. Irish Rural Link was in lead with in partnership with the BRIDE project, which is the biodiversity regeneration in a dairying environment, the Duncannon Blue Flag Farming and Community Scheme in Wexford, the New Futures Farming Group in Tipperary, and the Health and Safety Authority in carrying out this project in the catchment areas. So the catchment areas for this project was Cork, Tipperary and Wexford. And unfortunately, the reason why these 3 counties was picked is that they have the highest number of farm fatalities at the time. So we looked at from 2012 to 2021, Cork had 31 farm fatalities, Tipperary had 13 and Wexford had 12. The majority of these fatalities occurred above from the age of 65, with vehicles being the most cause of these fatalities. So really, these farm safety, health and wellbeing EIP-AGRI projects, our project in particular focused on these 3 counties to try and reduce those number of farm fatalities, but also influence the attitudes and behaviours around farm safety, health and wellbeing. So this project, EIP-AGRI project, began in November 2021, and we were successful enough to achieve an extension due to the COVID-19 restrictions. So that had real issues with us during the beginning of our project, trying to get engaged with farmers, attend various events when COVID was kind of in the way of really the barrier there. And we had a budget of 195,779. So that was our total budget to carry out this EIP project. So the overall aim of Farmers4Safety, Managing Risk Together EIP-AGRI project, adopted this peer-to-peer mentor approach to engage farmers in an attitudinal and behavioural change towards farm safety by tackling the social norms around farm safety, health and wellbeing. It really investigated farmers and farm families, attitudes and behaviours towards farm safety, health and wellbeing, and tried to create change in culture in terms of safer working practices. So looking at who actually was involved in this project, I was involved with 6 other part-time mentors. There was two mentors in Cork, 2 in Tipperary and 2 in Wexford. And we will later hear from one of the mentors from Cork, who's John Murphy. And I know Mary's on the line there as well today on today's meeting. So these mentors really offered a huge amount to the project. They brought their own expertise, knowledge and skills to it, but also they were trained as well at the beginning of the project to tailor to farm safety, health and wellbeing. So they carried out train the trainer courses, they were involved in mental health and wellbeing workshops and was included in different initiatives. And then a farm safety talk from the Health and Safety Authority, different events, but also if the mentors raised any issues or was unsure of different topics, we would get talks in on those. So gun safety was another talk, Agri Kids as well, Alma from Agri Kids. So it was just great to have all those mentors on the ground because they had their own networks already, but they expanded it out on the ground from attending different events and, carrying out different activities such as, participating in workshops, organising events tailored to the farming communities to signpost the farmers to the relevant supports and services that they may require. So you'll later hear from the mentors. I'm not going to go too much in about them because I will get John to expand more about their role. But really they drove the project on the ground in the catchment areas of Cork, Tipperary and Wexford. So looking at, I suppose, what we started off with, we obviously recruited the 6 part-time mentors. We trained them in relation to farm safety, health and wellbeing and trained the trainer. Then we carried out and launched our project down in Cork on one of the mentors' farms, and it was followed by a farm walk. On the day we launched our website as well. The reason for the website is just to keep up to date on all farm safety, health and wellbeing matters, along with the different resources as well out there, even the Code of Practice risk assessment document, mental health and wellbeing workshops, and then we collaborated with various organisations to run certain events such as, the mental health awareness, and we've launched a leaflet as well with Mental Health Ireland on that, as well as carrying out a sticker competition, which I will discuss in the next slide. So from attending these events on the ground, it really, you got to know different age demographics, you encountered with them, you talked about farm safety, health and wellbeing, and made it more conversation talked about, because it's very hard, sometimes people to be, oh no, farm safety, health and wellbeing is one thing, but farm safety, but they're all really inevitably linked to each other. One influences another. So moving on from that, I suppose we kind of said, well, what should we do to influence all generations? And from that, we kind of linked in with Alma Jordan from AgriKids and, launched a farm safety sticker competition. So this competition was called Stick to Safety Farm Safety Sticker Competition. It's a tongue now, you're trying to get all them words. But anyway, we came to realize then, we'll do this sticker competition, we'll leave it open to all age groups, and we will all skill sets as well. So it gave the opportunity really for everyone to get creative and highlight what farm safety, health and wellbeing means to them. It was open to all ages and across communities as well. And we received, at the time, it ran from May until July, and we received over 200 entries. So there's great engagement on the ground from farmers, farming community, and the broader community as well. And from that, the winning stickers, we had 4 different winners in different categories, age groups. And from that, I suppose that we circulate the winning stickers to different farming organisations and bodies on the ground to, expand the reach as well and, get the message out there, farm safety, health and wellbeing. From that, then I suppose this is our launch on the top left with Minister Martin Hayden officially launched our Farm Safety, Health and Wellbeing EIP-AGRI Project. And to the right-hand side, then we see one of the mentors actually participated in a discussion group, to tell everyone and inform everyone about our farm safety project and how to get involved. And the mentors, I suppose, they created this farm safety regional WhatsApp group as well to engage with farmers on a more kind of local level to let them know what's upcoming in their area. And even if they just wanted help or support, even dosing sheep or dosing cattle, whatever it may be, that you could text, put it into the chat and have that conversation, but also to highlight the different supports available to them as well. And from towards the latter end of our project, we actually launched a farm safety song, which is called When You're Working on the Farm. And we launched that at the end of our project conference because we thought a song was very, it's very interactive and it gets to all ages. When you see younger age group singing a song, it'll automatically go through the older generations as well, that song will go through. So we had a local national school, Rose Green National School, sing the song at the end of the project conference. And it was great to see, something that we created, we initiated the idea, we created, developed and launched. It was great to see that through towards our project as well. Looking, I suppose, from organising tailored events and participating in events, this is one event. We held one event in each of the catchment areas. So one in Cork, one in Tipperary and one in Wexford. These events really tailored to the farm safety network in our WhatsApp groups to identify what the farmers wanted on the ground, what did they want more information on. So this is one event in Cork where we actually had a health and safety authority inspector do a farm demonstration. So there was an average of 23 in attendance in each of the events. We were broken up into different groups, and in each group there was a different theme. So in this demonstration, there was one of us focusing on animal handling, another one on machinery, and different other themes on the farm. And we went around to assess those themes. And this is where I kind of really, it hit home this peer-to-peer mentor approach, like that farmers were learning from each other as they were going on the farm, looking at different things, whether it was your animal handling facility or machinery. They were learning from a farmer who was letting us into the farm and seeing how he done things. There was, there was one farmer in particular, the animal handling facility was absolutely exceptional. And one farmer actually said, well, Jeannie, I must go home now and do something very similar. And that was really a point for me where I was like, God, like this is just great to allow that, give the opportunity to farmers to exchange these innovative ideas and to make it a lot more safer for them, for those who visit or those who work on the farm. So it's not something that you be kind of risking. So that was one event in Cork. We had another event in Tipperary, which Mary will know of as well. She was organising it. And we had a safety lecturer give a talk on farm machinery and safe machinery. And then we had the fire brigade talk as well in Tipperary. So there was great engagement in that. And it was interesting to see the farmers going around looking at the tractors and saying, Jenny, I must touch up my own here when I go home. So it was interesting just to see that interaction. And then we had Wexford, then we had a first aid talk. And then we had a talk on, technology, and there was great interest from the Wexford farmers about, technology and getting themselves online. And I suppose from that, and at the end of the project, when the project ended, one of the mentors still is in contact. And we collaborated with the Education Training Board down there, and their farm safety network actually now is training in relation to computers with their local education training board down there. So just, I suppose, really Farmers4Safety, from attending these various events and workshops and organising different initiatives with organisations in the sector, it really kept the conversation going on the ground in relation to farm safety, health and wellbeing, and how everything is really inevitably linked. It also disseminated relevant documents as well and leaflets to the farming communities, such as the Code of Practice, risk assessment documents, mental health and wellbeing resources, and I suppose farm safety booklets and brochures as well. So looking at how we actually carried out this, we undertook a mixed method approach by gathering and analysing both qualitative and quantitative data. So looking at the qualitative, we looked at the informal consultation processes by attending agriculture shows and events, discussion groups, talks and workshops, and engaging with the farmers, farm families, and the partners, service providers on a one-to-one basis in a group setting. And then the quantitative side, we looked at obviously desk-based research and carrying out the two surveys. So in total, we had two different types of surveys. At the beginning of the project, we surveyed the farmers, partners and service providers, such as your AI technicians, your scanners and your vets. And then towards the latter end of the project, we went back to the farmers and we surveyed it again to see was there any change in attitudes and behaviours towards farm safety, health and wellbeing. And the reason I suppose I just kind of want to justify with you all why we interviewed the partners and service providers. We wanted to ensure we got everyone's insights to all who visit, live and work on the farm, that we weren't just getting the farmer, we wanted to see the other perspectives. And there's interesting findings which I will highlight throughout the presentation. So the lessons learned, like our project team have gained a huge amount of insights into the current challenges and opportunities that farmers and their families face in tackling and improving the social norms around farm safety, health and wellbeing. So just to go through with you some of the survey's responses. So looking at the post-evaluation and attitudinal survey responses from farmers, which was carried out towards the latter end of the project, we did see a change in attitudes and behaviours towards farm safety, health and wellbeing, as a number of questions included from the first survey was introduced, was asked again in the latter survey. So just to give you a profile of the participants involved in the survey, there was 36 from Cork, 29 from Tipperary and 33 from Wexford. The age bracket shows 1 under 18, 3 in the 18 to 24 age bracket, 16 in the 25 to 39 age bracket, 52 in the 40 to 60 age bracket, and 26 in the 60 plus bracket. Looking at the farming enterprises then, there was really a mixture throughout these surveys, including dairy, tillage, dry stock, horses, forestry, sucklers and sheep. And I suppose one of the questions we asked farmers, this is just an infographic to kind of summarise some of the findings. We asked participants, was our Farmers4Safety initiative beneficial in raising awareness of health and safety and mental wellbeing? 94.8% responded yes and 5.2% responded no. We also asked participants, since becoming involved in this project, do they now seek help when completing high-risk jobs? 88.2% responded yes and 11.8% responded no. So in this question, we do see a change in attitudes and behaviours towards farm safety, health and wellbeing, where 87% seeked help when completing high-risk jobs and 13% did not in the previous survey. So this highlights really a reduction from 13% to 11.8%. Another question included in the survey asked participants if they would like to see more free mobile health checkups, such as blood testing, eye test, heart monitoring at their local marts and co-ops. 89.5% responded yes and 10.5% responded no. Another question asked participants, since becoming involved in the project, do they now take risks that they would not allow anyone else to take on the farm? 35.8% said yes and 64.2% responded no. So really that kind of highlights a change in attitudes and behaviours towards taking risks in the previous survey, where 48% said they do take risks and 52% said they do not. So that really is a change from 48 to 35.8. We do see a change in attitudes and behaviours there. Another question asked then, asked participants their opinion of including a safety solution certificate that would be a mixture of theory and practical measures and would be a farmer-led bottom-up approach in addressing farm safety, health and wellbeing. 66.3% responded yes and 33.7% responded no. Another question asked participants if they will engage into a government scheme that would provide holiday and sick pay. 51.6% responded yes and 48.4% responded no. So just to kind of, I know the print there is very small, so I'm just going to move to the next slide just to show you the most noteworthy, the ones I would pick from it. So we're looking at, was our Farmers4Safety initiative beneficial in raising awareness of health and safety and wellbeing and mental wellbeing? So we see 94.8% responded yes, and then 89.5% responded yes they would like to see more free mobile health checkups, such as blood testing, eye test, heart monitoring at their local marts and co-ops. So these two questions and responses in the survey really do highlight the need and value of Farmers4Safety and Managing Risk Together EIP-AGRI project, but also the need for more accessible and free mobile health checkups, such as your blood testing or heart monitoring at your local marts and co-ops. So to have those available and accessible to farmers to utilise as well, that was one of the findings there. So looking at the partners survey responses, so just to give you a profile of the partners involved and who completed the survey, there was 19 from Cork, Wexford, 24 from Tipperary, and 9 were from Cork. The age bracket of the respondents includes 7 from the 25 to 39 age bracket, 25 from the 40 to 60 age bracket, and 20 from the 60 plus bracket. So the first question we asked the partners, do they work on the farm? And 59% responded yes, and 41% responded no. Another question asked, does your partner find it difficult to trust people to do the farming for him or her when taking time off? 51% responded yes, and 49% responded no. This indicates a challenge really for farmers when facing taking time off from the farm, but finding the adequate help, trusting a person to complete the jobs, along with being able to afford to take the time off as well, was just one of the issues. So another question asked if they find it difficult to spend time with their partner when he or she is constantly working and thinking of the farm. 55% responded yes, and 45% responded no. Another question asked, how often does your partner monitor his or her physical health and book a checkup with the doctor? 0% responded weekly, 8% responded monthly, 60% responded annually, 10% responded quarterly, and 22% responded never. So by introducing this free mobile health checkups, it may influence the 22% that never get a checkup with the doctor when it is free. However, if we offer this service, it is free and available to them at their local marts and co-ops, it may influence the other 22%. So looking at the most noteworthy kind of responses there from partners is, do you find it difficult to trust people to do the farming for you, for him or her when taking time off? 51% responded yes, and 49% responded no. And does your partner find it difficult to spend time with you when he or she is constantly working and thinking of the farm? 55% responded yes, 45% responded no. So these two findings really come to think like the impact, if we're looking at the quality of time they spend with their family, this may impact the farm family itself, but also generation renewal going forward. And having that work-life balance going forward, to have that time with your family, the quality time that to achieve that balance. So that was kind of a main finding and kind of a worrying finding for me from analysing the survey responses from the partners. So looking at our achievements, I suppose, for Farmers4Safety, it's met all its milestones set out to do, along with additional objectives. These milestones and achievements are outlined through infographics in our next slide. The infographics highlight the overall key statistics, facts and figures of the project since the beginning of its lifetime. These facts and figures were sourced from the mentors' weekly templates. The templates asked the mentors how many farmers, farm families they engaged with, where did they engage with them, what subjects they talked about, and how many farms they visited. And from that, we see the project team engaged with 1,788 farmers. And we participated and attended 8 agriculture shows and events, 7 discussion groups and presentations, featured in 12 articles on local and national newspaper, featured in 8 radio interviews, engaged with over 200 people at the National Ploughing Championships, made 960 phone calls and WhatsApps, organised 3 events in the catchment areas with an average of 23 in attendance, had analysed and had 330 surveys throughout the project, visited 330 farms, and then, as I said, in the Stick to Safety Farm Safety sticker competition in collaboration with AgriKids, we received over 200 entries, along with being nominated for the Rural Inspiration Awards. And in engaging with the 1,788 farmers, we did have over 60 farm safety, health and wellbeing subjects talked about in engaging with the farmers. So the next slide then is just going to really highlight the different subjects talked about in engaging with the farmers. So therefore you see, lack of PR in farm sector, back injuries, isolation, safety material, tractors, contractor safety, events, workshops, and that work-life balance, as we touched on as well in the survey response from partners, computer courses, safety measures, fatalities in the last 10 years. So the list really goes on. So these are just to give you a flavour of some of the subjects talked about with the farmers and engaging with the farmers on a one-to-one basis or in a group setting. Our project also featured in a Horizon 2020 project website. This shows the overall reach of the project, not just at a national level, but broader. So just, I suppose, I know I went through very quickly there, but just to summarise some of the findings from our project, in relation to the gaps in service provision, there is a need for a network or organisation for a senior farmer, farmers who are retired and no longer classify themselves as a farmer, safety material from the age of 12 upwards, limited courses for farm safety, health and wellbeing, and then the technology aspect then to equip farmers with the relevant skills and how to use platforms correctly, such as your ag food, emails, banking online, and even done deals. So you have like to be able to have farmers access them platforms correctly. The issue of time management, which we've seen from the farmers surveys, as long as with the partner surveys. And then the inclusion of a safety certificate or solutions, like having that farmer-led approach bottom up of the mixture of theory and practical into it as well, and on the farm based as well. Spouses concerned about the safety, health and well-being of their loved one while working on the farm. But also there is importance for it to collaborate and, you know, build capacity and effectively engage with the farming communities and existing organisations in order to create a better governance, and by exchanging knowledge with each organisation to ensure nothing is reinvented in relation to farm safety, health and wellbeing, that we're not duplicating work, that we're bringing everything together to achieve a common and shared goal as well. So really, it is evident that Farmers4Safety Managing Risk Together EIP-AGRI Project has established and launched the project, implemented the work plan, delivered, monitored and evaluated the project. By adopting this peer-to-peer mentor approach, it has proven to be a success within this Farm Safety, Health and Wellbeing EIP-AGRI project, as it has created a co-learning environment, transferred knowledge, communicated and engaged with farmers and their families by providing information and signposting them to the relevant supports and services that they may require. From the findings identified throughout this project, it informed and inspired the Farmers' Yards activities. The experience from Farmers4Safety influenced the activities organised within the Farmers' Yards initiative. This initiative is a social organisation for the farming community and was piloted in Mountbelly and Mart. There was various informal talks each week for farmers to avail of, such as we had talks from the Health and Safety Authority, Pat Griffin. That was very interesting for farmers. It was an informal talk with the Health and Safety Authority inspector. Farmers were more uncomfortable talking to them because they felt comfortable in the Mart setting, as well as, you know, an informal talk with the Health and Safety Authority inspector to ensure that, you know, they were doing this correct safety measures, but also they see health and safety training as an activity and not a task. We also, I suppose, just as I discussed in the survey findings, you know, free mobile health checkups at your local marts and co-ops. We also, informed and influenced Farmers' Yards to carry out this as well. So Farmers' Yards had a free health check by CRE. So this really gave the opportunity to farmers to have this free health checkup in their local mart and avail of it. So there was great engagement from that, and it was amazing to see. I don't know, Shane, you remember there was a few farmers trying to sneak in the back door to make sure they were getting checked, but nobody else could see them. So it was interesting and funny to see, have the crack with the lads. But then I suppose we did launch this Farmers' Yards in Mountbelly and Mart, a piloted project for 6 weeks. We also carried out a stock judging competition each week, and there you can see the winner of our stock judging competition, Noel Larkin. So it was really interesting and to see how the EIP-AGRI project influenced and informed Farmers' Yards in Mountbelly and Mart, and see it did work, like the CRE, the free health checkups and the health and safety talk, that we brought those contacts and collaborations forward to the next project. I suppose just to kind of finalise everything and just summarise it, I just want to bring a quote here from Minister Martin Hayden, which is Minister of State with responsibility for research and development, farm safety, new market development, who recently attended the Safe Habitats Policy Seminar and highlighted the importance of farm safety, health and wellbeing, and how at a broader societal level, we are moving towards a place where mental health can be talked about in the same way as cancer or a broken leg. So really this does highlight of the importance of opening that conversation with farmers and the wider rural communities and really asking them, how are they doing? Often we kind of just say, how are you getting on? How are you doing? You wouldn't actually wait for the response. So I think this project really, from having that mentors on the ground, they waited for the response, they effectively engaged with them. And I think that really means an awful lot to the other person on the other end, that they can know, they can trust you and engage with you and talk to you on a one-to-one or in a group setting. I just want to say thank you all. And I hope that this presentation, we do see the advantages of Farmers4Safety Managing Risk Together EIP-AGRI project from this peer-to-peer mentor approach within the agriculture sector. As we all know, farmers speak the same language, are literally and culturally faced with similar problems and constraints. And by adopting this farmer-led approach, they become more innovative in how to address these problems, such as farm safety, health and well-being. This project may have ended, but has influenced and informed other work going forward in tackling and improving the social norms around farm safety, health and well-being, and other issues in the agriculture sector, such as combating the issue of social isolation. I hope you all have come across findings and learnings from this presentation this afternoon, and thank you again for having me on.
Well done, Niamh. Well done. Excellent, excellent. Some really interesting kind of ideas coming out of this, Niamh. Some really interesting findings. You know, so many. And I think maybe will we talk to John first before we kind of look for some questions from people that have tuned in? We might talk to John. I see John is up here with the CAP network on our right hand side. Well done, John.
Can you hear me?
You're welcome.
Right? Thank you very much. Yeah, so thank you for inviting me to speak here as well today. Yeah, I worked closely with Niamh. As she said, I was one of the farm mentors along with Ned Carney in Cork. And it was a very interesting project to be involved in. Little quick background of my own farm. I was a dairy farmer up until very recently, and I was involved in social farming. So I had people with mental and physical difficulties who were accessing social services were coming onto my farm to work alongside me one day a week. And my wife also runs a preschool on the farm, which has a heavy emphasis on outdoor play and being involved in nature. So with that in mind, I had to be very careful. I had a lot of visitors of various types coming onto my farm, and I felt a great responsibility for those visitors. So I had to be very careful. And so most farmers have one health and safety document. I actually had three in order to be able to have these visitors on. But the one thing that I realized from having these visitors on is that an awful lot of safety issues and the remedies to those are quite cheap, and all it takes is a bit of time and a bit of thought. Like, for example, I decided not to have a bull on my farm for the safety of everybody involved. It's a little more expensive to use artificial insemination, but I just couldn't have it on the farm. Also, the area from the farm was split into two areas, the upper area and the lower area. And the upper area is where the children were, and we had high fences and we had secure gates, and they couldn't get beyond that part of the yard into the rest of the working part of the farm without adult supervision and adults actually able to open those gates for them. And whenever they went on the farm, my wife and I always worked closely together to make sure that there was no contractors or any outsiders working on the farm the day the children were there, just to avoid any accidents. And the social farming people, again, we just were very careful in the kind of activities that we picked. So having that in mind, I explained all this to everybody when the launch for the project was held on my farm. And it got me thinking about what we could do. And one of the things that struck me is that a farm is a very, very unique place of employment, very different from most other places. It's often these places of employment are in some of the most beautiful parts of the country, but are often some of the most isolated parts of the country as well. And these places of work generally don't have a dedicated safety officer like other places do. Other places don't have several generations of people passing through or working there on a daily basis. So you have children, you have the farmer, you could have his children, you could have his elderly parents or her elderly parents there as well. Another issue is that most people retire when they hit pension age. A lot of farmers don't, they keep working. And so the mind is willing, but the body is not quite as agile as it once was. And also farmers, other places, things close down. People work 40-hour weeks. They have weekends off. Generally, farms don't have that. When there's work to be done, the work is tackled, and only when the work is finished do people sit down. So from that point of view, it's no wonder that there are a lot of the statistics are looking bad for farm as places of work. But in my role as the mentor dealing with the farmers, it would be fair to say that most people agreed that health and safety was a very important issue. but there was also an attitude of it won't happen to me. And yet every farmer that I dealt with had a story of a near miss. I have them myself. Everyone has them. Myself and Ned manned the stall at some of the agricultural shows in the summer, and the number of farmers that we had come up to us and come here. Let me tell you a story. Then they tell how they nearly died or how they nearly got badly maimed, have a laugh about it, and then head off again. So it was interesting to see how the wives actually had a very different attitude towards health and safety on the farm and towards their own partners' attitudes to health and safety on the farm. Most wives agreed that they work too much, they work too hard, and sometimes shortcuts are taken, as they generally do when you're very, very busy. One wife came up to us, actually, she gave us a bit of a fright. She told us that I'm actually a farm widow. And we said, oh my God, I'm very sorry to hear that. This, was your husband killed in an accident or something? She said, that's all, he's over there, but he's always working. Sure, I never see him. So so it is no wonder that there's problems around succession and that at the moment. One other thing that I noticed is the health and safety document. Every farmer will tell you that they have a health and safety document and they have it filled out. But if you were to ask them right now, can I see your health and safety document? They'd have to go searching for it, because it's there somewhere under a pile of papers in the corner of the kitchen or in the office. But it's something that gets ticked, but it's not for the quality assurance schemes, and because it's a legal requirement, but it's not a document that they use every day. But the health and safety was the easiest thing to talk about with farmers. What was much more difficult to discuss really was mental health issues, physical issues, just the whole concept around well-being. And I actually, as a mentor on this project, I actually had a lot of discussions, a lot of conversations with people that I never would have had, but other than people knew that I had been involved in this project and I had been discussing this sort of things. And we have a saying in rural Ireland, perhaps it's everywhere, that you never know what goes on in someone else's house. And having been involved in this project, that's definitely true. I've had people contacting me and saying, could you speak to my partner, to my husband? Things aren't going so well at the moment and he won't talk to anyone. But don't tell him that I rang. I don't tell him that I rang you. And so it's very hard to start these conversations, and especially when you're not allowed to say that you've been told. So we do our best, and you try and keep in touch with people, and eventually they might open up with you, and other times they'll keep the brave face and they never will. But the saying that there's never you never know what's going on in another person's house, you certainly never know what's going on in another person's head, because some of those people that I was alerted to, you'd never know in general conversation that things were difficult in the background. So and generally men find it hard to talk about their feelings. So there's a whole body of work to be done there yet. And perhaps some of it is down to they're just working too hard. And when you're working too hard and you're spun out and you're stressed and you can't take a break, it's very hard. So as Niamh showed in the statistics there, like farmers are working too hard. Although one of the anecdotal successes of the project as well was that there was one couple that have a young family who hadn't taken a holiday in the last couple of years. Because I don't really know why, because they didn't prioritize it, or they couldn't find someone they trusted to look after the farm where they were away. But they decided that off the back of this, they decided that they would actually have the holiday for the kids. The kids were growing up and they weren't going to be around forever. And so their solution to it was that a parent went away for a week with the children, and then they swapped. And so the first week, one was with the kids and the other was at home milking the cows, and then they swapped. And the other one looked after the cows and the other one had a quality holiday with the children. So that was a nice solution. But as I said before, and I'll conclude here, a lot of the problems on our safety issues on farms are preventable. And often a welder and a bit of steel will solve a lot of problems. And a lot of the solutions don't require big, fancy, expensive gadgets. And so it would be nice to get more farmers to share ideas. And that was the success of those on-farm visits and what have you, was farmers talking about and finding solutions, because often when you're working hard and you're spun out, often you don't see the dangers and you don't see the solutions either. They're staring you there in the face. So there's definitely work to be done, and there's a lot of opportunities for more projects like this where farmers are learning from each other and supporting each other. And in the long run, that's how we're going to get attitudinal change towards health and safety and well-being, in my opinion. Sorry now if I spoke for too long, but
no, not at all, John, not at all. Thanks a million. It was great to get your insight as part of the project, and I suppose Niamh's results are really they're fantastic to have, you know, and to get your insight as well, I suppose, as a farmer, but also as part of the project is really good. I